This is another video of my demonstrations of different concepts in painting. This is called value mapping. It comes from the Art on Designing Watercolors by Robert Lovett. And I like this idea. We draw one big rectangle. That would be one value. Another rectangle within that rectangle is another value, and then a smaller rectangle within that. So we're going to pick a light middle value of gray and paint that whole thing out right through the black, but the white remains. And so that's how much proportion of white to middle value there will be in this painting. And then we'll put in a black to indicate that's how much black. Darker values will be in the painting that I'm about to demonstrate. So first of all, we're going to draw a rectangle. It's always a format that you work with when you do a painting. This is a photograph that I am following, and it's in St. Paul, Minnesota, and it's got a high bridge, and then it's got a building on sort of a rocky cliff by the Mississippi River. And so what I do when I make my sketch is I look for the most geometric shapes that I see within the in the painting. I don't go for all the little detail on the outer edges of those shapes. And just putting it down very, very quickly, because after all, this is just a sketch. And it's a placement of shapes within this this format. We have that darker bridge right there, and then we have some people in a boat that will be right out in that area. And so I'll just kind of sketch that in. Then there's another bridge that's behind that bridge. So we have actually three bridges in this painting, one a railroad bridge and the other two of a vehicle bridge. And then there's something that goes up on top, and then of course you can walk down from that down to the lower level of the thing. Now the thing is, now following my value sketch mapping, I'm going to paint everything in this value of middle value. Now here's where you can, you can select a lighter middle value. I would suggest not too light, because you want it in contrast to the white that you're going to be leaving. You can paint right through the structures and and just keep looking at the proportion that you're putting in. Now you see this almost half and half, but once I get this reflection in, I'm taking out most of the whites and having that tree reflect in the water a little bit out in that area, and that makes a nice nice composition. Okay, now the next thing that I want to do is I want to start putting in a darker middle value that's darker than the first one, and I dried the paper in between. So this is all hard edge, there's no soft edge in this. And so that might be a little bit too, not a lot of contrast between the first value to the second, but there is a difference. And so now I'm going to make some reflection of that value inside. Remember that when you have larger shapes of one value, you have other values inside. And one of the things that I like to paint is a brush stroke type of thing. So you have different brush strokes of shapes that's coming. And so I'm now going to paint in a little bit more of a bridge right there. There we go. There we go. Okay, good. You see, now that's the other bridge. Now it's hard to see in this video, but it's not supposed to be something that stands out that much anyway. And it's all just brush strokes from here on after I laid my value plan down, as you see on the left. Now I'm going to put another darker value inside of the trees. Bring that further up. That kind of balances a little bit, but that's not my black. That's not my darkest value. It could be, but in this particular case, I am not going to have it. I'm going to go in with my black just as soon as I am satisfied with the other structures of the values. See, just strokes here, strokes there. It gives them a nice textural quality to the painting. There we go. I'm going to put that down there, and there. Now it's a little bit more of reflection of the tree in there, and we'll put a little bit on the boat there. There we go. Okay. This only takes about 15 minutes to do a value sketch like this. Now I'm going to go and start adding my darks, which in this particular case is a black. But all you have to really remember is that it's got to be darker than the other three values that you already have in the painting. I have a white, I have a light middle value, and I have a dark middle value, and now I have this black. So I'm going to put a few little windows in the pavilion. And then we have something that's on this bridge. It's a railroad bridge, and it's got a structure that's up on top like two wheels, and then it comes down straight. I'm using a rigger brush so I can keep it the lines being fine. And I'm not really looking at the structure as I'm looking for the texture or quality that is represented in the picture. Obviously I don't have all the details. Now I'm going to put a few little marks across here just to bring that up just a little bit more. And a couple of people in the boat. They're probably fishing or something like that, but it's just strokes. It's just shapes and strokes. Just a dab here and there. Okay, there's a tree laying on top of this bank, and I'm going to try to get that in, except that I don't want it to take over the composition. See, it just lays across there. Now I'm going to take a little bit of white away so I can show the top of that tree, although it didn't turn out that well there, but it will in the final painting. Oh, let's see, we got to make this darker. Now that maybe is a little bit too dark. It's almost say that's a black. If I put a lot of that in, then I'm kind of losing my amount of portion, but maybe not. It's always in proportion to. The biggest area is the middle values, and the next biggest area is the light values, and then the smallest area is the dark. Okay, so we're going to put this other bridge. This is the third bridge that's underneath that bridge and in between. It's really a nice little pattern. And now we'll put some more darker values within inside of this structure. Now when you do something like this is how I look at it, is that if I see a dark going in the middle, I'll just put it in. I don't really care what it is, what it represents, but it does represent a shape. It gives a little bit more character to the bridge. And then I added some trees on top behind the bridge. And then I decided that, gee, I should really make that a little bit darker, but it shouldn't be as dark as the black that I've already put on. You see, so that's going to dry up a little later. Use a little brush, or maybe I can lift it off. And we got some little cast shadows on top of the pavilion. And as you build this up, you paint in smaller areas. And you just start moving your values around. And by having that value mapping plan, you'll be able to know where to put those values, because you don't want to have it all equal in the same amount of the three values that we use as artists. Okay, just make that just a little darker there and a little stronger. And there's some little darker areas in there, but not black. They're a real dark gray. Sort of draw that in. Now this is just looking for little details that, I don't know how important these are. But that's what the value sketch is for, to see how much you should add to it. Now I'll go a little around that dead tree that's laying on top, but just is not coming off very well in the picture. So a little bit of, these are little small rocks that are laying out there, so I'll put some little dots on there just to show that there's some texture there. Now let's frame it, just so we can isolate it from the background of the paper, and so you can see what it looks like. Now I think that's in proportion to my value mapping plan. And there's that tree laying down there, and you know, it's all brush strokes is what it is, but it's got good values. And there is the picture that I've taken this from, and then the painting. Thank you for watching.